Well, good Thursday morning. It is great to be back with you here for our daily devotional. I've really enjoyed our time so far together this week, and looking at questions. Questions kind of tell us why we do things and how we do things, and then they give us clarity behind those things, and they give us understanding behind those things. And I think that's why questions are so important. So now, my question for you today is pretty simple, I think, but maybe it'll cause you to reflect a little bit. And that question is, why do you go to church? Why do you go to church? I mean, that's a pretty simple question, right? But I don't know that it's always as simple as what we think once we start looking at it. Do you go to church probably because maybe it's a habit? You always have. You've always gone to church on Sunday mornings, and so you get up and you get ready and you go. Off you go. That's what you do. And your children go because that's what you have taught them to do. Do you go because that's what your grandmom always said to you? You know, you get up and you go to church every Sunday morning. It don't matter. You're always there. You know, every time the doors are open, you got to be there, right? Maybe that's true. But if that's the only reason, I'm just asking here, if that's the only reason that you go to church, are you getting anything out of that? Or maybe there's deeper meaning behind why you go to church, and you've never really thought about it. And I know for me, I think that's what it was. I've told you before, we grew up in a religious home, went to church, all the time, like we were told to do. And we were expected to do. And as I got older, I had to start looking at, what's the real purpose behind going? Why do we get up and go to church on Sunday mornings? And some people will say, well, you don't have to go to church. You can experience God anywhere. And they're exactly right. You can experience God anywhere. You don't have to be inside the building. We know the church is the people, and you don't have to be inside the building. But is there a reason for being inside the building? And I think there is. And I think that it's an important reason. And it comes from Luke, and it comes from chapter 4 of Luke, and it's verse 16. And I'll tell you exactly what it says. It says, he went to Nazareth, he being Jesus, he went to Nazareth where he was brought up, and on the Sabbath day he went into the synagogue as was his custom. So if we want to live a life that is like Jesus, and we say so often that we want to live a life that's like Jesus, we want to have those type of that type of lifestyle, the walk the walk, talk the talk that Jesus did, then to be able to do that, we've got to do some of the things that Jesus does. We got to pray like Jesus prayed. We got to serve like Jesus has told us and shown us how to serve. And we got to go to church because Jesus went to church. When we're among other believers, it expands our experience. And I think when we expand our worship experience, we get more out of the worship services. And I've never really understood it that way until early 2020. And everything was in lockdown. And we would come up to St. Mark and we would record worship services. And what we were used to were full sanctuaries of people, of believers together, gathered, worshiping together. And what we experienced was just a preacher giving a message and just a band singing a song or just a choir singing. And it wasn't the full experience. And it was different. The songs were great. The messages were powerful, just as they always had been. The prayers were as meaningful as ever. But all the people weren't there. And it was different. And the experience was different. And so I think that's why we get together at church, is because it's the people. Being together and worshiping together means so much. I know that through this pandemic, some of us haven't been back to church yet. Not to in-person worship services anyway, and maybe that's for fear of the virus, which is perfectly understandable, or maybe we got out of our routine. And if that's the case, I encourage you to come back. Come back somewhere. St. Mark, we've taken a lot of precautions to keep people safe. A lot of churches have. And so if you're not concerned about being in the building, and it's just not your habit right now, not your routine right now, let's try to make it our routine again. Jesus gathered in the synagogue with other believers. Jesus gathered with other people. And that's what we're supposed to do too. That's what we're called to do too. And so I hope that you'll consider going to church. And I hope that you'll come to one of the 5 services that we'll have on Sunday morning at St. Mark. And I also hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I can't wait to spend some time with you in the morning. Have a good evening. God bless.